So you're in a technical interview. Your resume says you know all the right skills, but how do you really prove it? How do you show you're the one they absolutely need? Well, today we're diving into a strategy that's pretty much a masterclass on how to do exactly that.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll lay out the master blueprint for proof. Then, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of proving your core tech mastery. From there, we'll talk about engineering for the real world, all the messy stuff. And finally, and this is key, we'll tie it all together by connecting your code directly to the company's mission. Let's do this.
All right, first up, the blueprint for proof. And look, this isn't just theory, okay? We're going to make this super practical. We're actually using a real job description for a software and data engineer to show you how this strategy works in practice and how it takes you way, way beyond just a list of skills on a resume. So here's the real question, right? The thing every technical interview really boils down to. How do you prove you can solve problems as they actually exist in the real world, not just on some whiteboard? It's not enough to say, yeah, I know Python. You've got to show them with hard evidence from your own work that you can tackle the messy, complicated challenges they're dealing with right now.
And this is where the blueprint strategy comes in. It's a game changer. This isn't just about casually reviewing your past projects. No, this is a meticulous, systematic approach where you map every single requirement in the job description directly to tangible proof from your work. We're talking specific projects, code paths, and even the exact talking points you'll use.
Okay, let's put this blueprint to work. We're going to start with proving core technical mastery. Think data pipelines, databases, the fundamentals. But this is where you stop just talking about what you did and you start demonstrating that you have a deep first principles understanding of why it works.
So the job description says something pretty standard, right? Develop, optimize, and maintain data pipelines, familiar with tools like Apache Airflow. And look, most candidates will just say, yep, used Airflow, check. But someone using this blueprint, they're about to do something completely different. They're going to prove they don't just use the tools, they've mastered the concepts behind them. And boom, here it is. The answer isn't I used a tool. It's I didn't just use a DAG scheduler, I built one. Whoa. You see that shift? You immediately go from being a consumer of technology to a creator. You're showing you understand the logic from the ground up. That's a whole different level of understanding.
Okay, next up, another classic requirement, deep experience with Postgres. But look at the important part. Ensure data quality and reproducibility. Those aren't just buzzwords. For any company that relies on data, those are absolutely everything.
So how do you prove you get reproducibility? You introduce a powerful, advanced pattern like event sourcing. Now, the easiest way to think about this is like a financial ledger for your whole system. Every single change, every event gets recorded as a permanent, unchangeable entry. It's the ultimate source of truth, making your system fully auditable and completely reproducible.
And this right here, this is the evidence locker. It's a direct one-to-one mapping. They're basically saying, you know that fancy PostgreSQL feature, the transaction log? Well, in my project, I built a system called Verified Bricks that does the exact same thing for this specific use case. It's not abstract knowledge, it's showing you've already solved their kind of problems.
Okay, so we've covered the core technical chops. But what about the real world? Where things are messy, unpredictable, and everything eventually breaks. Now we're going to see how this blueprint proves you can build resilient, secure systems that can actually survive out in the wild. And here's a perfect example of a real-world problem. Ingesting data from, let's say, fragmented court websites. These things can be a nightmare. They're messy, the formats change without warning, and some even have anti-bot measures. They can be actively hostile to what you're trying to do. This is a massive engineering challenge.
And this response is just perfect. My architecture assumes failure is inevitable. That one sentence says so much. It shows a mature senior-level mindset. You're not building for the perfect scenario, the happy path. You're building for reality, where things will go wrong, and you have a plan for it. This lake-first strategy is a brilliant example of that in action.
And this is so cool. Instead of just being reactive and waiting for a security team to find problems, this candidate built their own automated saboteur. It's a system designed to attack their own plans, find the holes, stress test it, and inject fixes, all before it ever goes to production. That's not just problem solving, that is proactive, next-level engineering.
Here's another piece of evidence for building resilient systems, the Hydra failover protocol. Basically, it's a smart system that knows external services are going to fail. So when one does, it automatically reroutes traffic to a backup and puts the broken one in a temporary penalty box to cool off. It's self-healing infrastructure, so no frantic late-night calls are required.
All right, we've covered the what and the how, but now we get to the why. And honestly, this might be the most crucial part. This is where you connect all those technical decisions back to the organization's actual mission. It shows you're not just a coder, you're a partner who cares about the impact of the work.
So the job requires things like ensuring data privacy and understanding reproducible research. And this isn't just some technical checkbox. This is about ethics. It's about showing respect for the data and, even more importantly, for the human beings that data represents.
I mean, come on, this is just brilliant. A habeas corpus rule built right into the code. It's such an elegant, powerful analogy that basically says, my system cannot make a claim without showing the body of evidence, a direct quote from the source. For a research organization that lives and dies by data integrity, that's an incredible thing to hear.
And then there's this. By talking about tombstoning, the candidate shows they get the super sensitive, complex, legal, and ethical issues at play. They understand that deleting a record in the criminal justice system isn't simple. You have to balance historical accuracy with a person's right to privacy. This isn't just a data engineer talking. This is someone who thinks like a systems engineer for justice.
And this slide is the closing argument. It puts the mission of their personal project right next to the mission of the organization they're interviewing with. The alignment is undeniable. It tells the interviewer, I'm not just looking for a job. Your mission is already my mission. This is a continuation of the work I am deeply passionate about.
Okay, so let's zoom out and pull all this together. What does the final blueprint that this whole process creates actually look like?
This is it. This is the deliverable. It's your cheat sheet, your battle plan. On the left, every key requirement from the job description. And on the right, specific, concrete evidence from your projects that proves you can do it. DAG pipelines? Let me tell you about my Prism controller. Reproducibility? Here's how my checkpoint manager works. It's a powerful, undeniable map of your value.
And that's really the big takeaway here. This whole process, it's so much more than just interview prep. It's a demonstration. It shows strategic thinking, deep technical knowledge, and a real profound respect for the mission. It transforms you from just another candidate who can write code into a strategic partner who can solve their biggest problems. And that is something no interviewer can possibly ignore.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. For your next interview, what's your evidence going to be? How will you build your own blueprint for proof? How will you show them beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are the perfect answer they've been looking for?